What's up, my leisure and ink? Today was an incredible day. I started out today like with a goal, right? I wanted to go to the grocery store. I wanted to um, what else I wanted to do? I can't even remember. Go to the bookstore, go to the cafe, and write and all those things. But nature has a way of planning things in a way that is so synchronistic and better than what you could have ever come up with. I wanted to go out, come back in, clean up, do some laundry, some things like that. But what ended up happening was I feel like I entered a 6 or 5.5 hour portal with some amazing people that I met. There's this couple that I ran into. Well, I ran into the husband first, out and about somewhere. Oh, at the grocery store. We talked for maybe 2 minutes and then went on our way. Found out we're both from the U.S. and just like here in Lisbon and like connected over some things, switched phone numbers and stuff like that. So today on my way, zoned out, focused, going to do what I planned on doing. I hear someone call my name. Hey, Antoine. And it was him and his wife. And we talked for a little bit and I was already in the zone. So it took me a minute to kind of get clear on like, okay, who was this? Okay, where I remember this guy from. And then we talked for a bit. And then in that moment, they invited me to go grab a tea. And I'm like, immediately, all right, let's do it. Right? Because I'm on my schedule, so I can move things around a bit. But then I ended up saying, well, my plan was to go to this bookstore and check out this bookstore in Lisbon that have an English section in it. So we're like, all right, well, we'll walk there together and check it out. When we got there, found out the bookstore actually has a cafe in the back. So we talked for a bit. We ended up going directly to the cafe inside the bookstore. She ended up getting a book, his wife, a poetry book that was calling her name. Is very interesting. We talked about poetry. We talked about Vedic science. We talked about Buddhism. We talked about visas. We talked about serendipities and consciousness and human potential, everything. What's going over in the States, the different perspectives of how people can see things in their own lives, but the different filters thing people look at the world through. We spoke about those things. It was just a really magical moment. Um, and I can't fully articulate what it was like, but there's this quote. I can't remember who it's from. It talks about the feeling of meeting an old friend who you've just met. And I feel like that's what happened in this case. Like these people, we immediately started connecting. I felt like I was in on campus at Maharishi International University in Fairfield, Iowa, because the level of depth we went into so fast, the level of familiarity with one another, the concepts that we were talking about, it all just gelled and vibed so nicely that it felt like an infusion of nourishment and medicine and consciousness that I didn't know I needed at that moment. And so it's always cool when you can meet people, places, and things that add this level of nourishment to your life. Um, One concept that they brought up was this idea of time being this construct, right? Like we live within time, but yet our awareness and our consciousness um, may or does operate outside of time, and how there may be this idea of the awareness or consciousness being outside of time, or having some value outside of the construct of time, some self awareness outside of that, but then being local inside of time and having this ability from this holistic grand perspective of being outside of time and seeing everything as like oneness or wholeness moving in itself, that this consciousness or awareness can relay information, wisdom, insight, um, intuition back to its own self at any point in space and time, because it's non-local. It's not in the constructive space and time. It's within it, but also outside of it. And there's a possibility through things like prayer and meditation and um, those funny feelings you get, those hits of intuition, those sparks of insight, the epiphany, even the breakthrough that you might have, all could be from this level of expanded awareness that our everyday surface level personality and psychology can't exactly comprehend. It's coming from this space, this of ineffability. And to describe exactly what's going on might not be possible, but the impact of it is certainly felt. And I felt like this was one of those moments because, you know, I got ready to go and left out the apartment at a certain time. And during that time, they had dropped off their kid at school and they were crossing an intersection right when I was turning. And so our paths met right in that time. And then it's this effect of feeling like you were exactly where you needed to be at that exact moment to get a piece of information that you didn't know you needed. And it was like, this is too precise to be insignificant or coincidence, even though it might feel like it's a coincidence. There's this knowing that it's planned or constructed or organized in some way. Like there is this engineering that's going on in all our lives that has access to this perfect geometry that connects different lines and shapes and people, places, and things and portals that you can walk in. And because of a certain interaction, a person, place, or thing acting as a certain catalyst can awaken certain things up inside you in such a way that your perspective, your light, your insight, the way you see the world will never be the same. And I feel like this was one of those moments for me, you know? And I hope that, like, you know, I gave as good as I got, right? Like that, while I was being fed, that I was also being nourishment to the other people, to them. And yeah, it was just an incredible time. And some of the concepts that we dug into, you know, consciousness being non local, and so not affected by space and time, but yet being able to exist within space and time. It's pretty phenomenal way we went in. And these words that I'm giving probably doesn't completely give it justice because it's not only the words, right? It's the feeling and the initiation that came with the words. You know, the feeling where you meet masters or teachers or gurus where this person, place, or thing and the words that they're using and the things that they're saying are more than just the words, but it's an initiation, it's a baptism, it's a confirmation, it's lived, it's visceral, it's not just intellectualized, it's lived in the moment when the word is given, that something is happening, some catalyst for um, a way of being that's already at seed level inside of you. These people, places, and things drop into your life and become the catalyst for like a bloom or blossoming of understanding, a perspective of expression that you might not have gotten had you not been in the proper place at the proper time. Um, yeah, that's what happened today. Some other concepts we discussed today was like this idea of like it's a phrase or a quote that's been out there for a long time. Leap and the net will appear. Step and the way will open for you. Um, all these kind of sayings like that, exist across demographics, across religions, across traditions. There is some sort of power in the relationship of co-creation, right? Between you and the things that you want, but also nature as it's responding to your thought, feelings, and emotions. And hitting that sweet spot where there is this symmetry between you leaping and the net appearing. Like, what is that moment, that goal there? What is that transcendental process that allows you to go beyond the personality and the psychology and the safety of knowing, or the security of thinking, I get how this plan or this thing is going to play out, to a place where, man, I'm at the ledge. I'm at the edge of my understanding, the edge of my knowing, the edge of possibility. And from this point, I can't assume to know what's next. I can't even fathom what could be next. I'm at the edge of what my imagination could even think of. And then you leap from there and create as you're going, or nature uh, puts the steps or the foundation before you as you're jumping in it. Of course, I'm not speaking about um, being completely reckless, right? But this is a space that seemed to merge practicality with intuition. It seems that in this space, the practicality and the logistics are already infused in the insight, or in the intuition, or in that leap. Somehow, all the things come together to rendezvous for the best possible world for all concerned when you do this from this space. A space that I can't fully articulate it, because I know while it entails the psychology and emotions and the thoughts, somehow it's beyond it. You transcend it, and it includes those things, but it's not a product of those things, this state of being, right? It's more those things come up to give word or expression, to point at what I'm talking about, so that we can better maybe call a thing a thing. But really, it's this space of pure consciousness that you're dipping down into, and being able to make a choice from there, which is completely logical, completely safe, but from um, a state of awareness where just the psychology and intellect is aware, it could look crazy, but yet you have a knowing. You know what's being created. You that a knowing that's sort of beyond knowing, right? You know in an ineffable, unarticulatable way that this is the direction, this is what I need to do. But your reasons for it, how the blocks line up and the math lines up, you can't see it from where you are. It's like you got to take the leap in order to see, you know. But from a place um, of that space that is sort of transcendental, from that flow state or from that zone state, and oftentimes to get there, you need a tool, because I mean it does happen for many artists, people who go, basketball players, musicians. They go into the zone, they go into the flow, and this is similar to the state that I'm talking about. So you can access it through things like meditation. My personal meditation is transcendental meditation, but whatever your style for accessing this space is, um, it's the space to move from, if possible. I mean, sometimes you got to act whether you can access that space or not, but this space is sort of already infused with knowledge and wisdom and direction and clarity, and allows you to produce or create something that would not have been created otherwise. Anyway, that was my day, going into the zone with these amazing people, you know, and I'm so grateful for it. And yeah, that's my leisure in ink.